not even a year later, my grandpa got cancer. So I could tell I've really formed a heart for caring for people because he recognized it and he loved me for it. And he even told the rest of the family, she's the most caring. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be, I'm just trying to be loving and all of that. I'm not trying to be the most.
Right. Yeah.
But I could definitely tell everything changed for me, just my perspective and just everything else after the whole injury happened.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Buffalo Community Podcast. We've got a guest in here, Calista Susa. Am I saying that right?
Yes, you are.
All right.
Thank you for checking.
Yep. Thank you. I should have checked before we started recording, but that's all right. This is real.
Testing you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. We received a super fan email from retired teacher Joel Squadroni. So, Joel, thank you for making this connection. We really appreciate it. We should get you on the podcast soon.
I told him.
Retirement. So
we'll get him on.
Yep.
You're a legend.
Yeah.
You should know that.
Yeah. So, and, he was so passionate, and the email said, oh, you have to talk to Calista.
Because I shared with him that first podcast I did on Hope Survives, and he was like, you need to do more, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. And then he's like, oh, well, there's a local one. I'll get you connected.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect.
We emailed you a few times, and he's like, they're not responding. I'm going to try again. I'm like, oh, okay.
So, all right, well, I should check on that email, see how many times he actually emailed me.
Who knows?
Yeah. So, or maybe I just took a pause to get back to him. But, you've got some medical history.
Yes. Since day one.
Since day one, yeah.
Let's start at day one.
Yeah. All right, 30,000-foot view. Thank you for coming in.
Yes.
Why are you here?
So, first off, I was born as a little person. And the reason why that's like a big deal, but not a big deal, was my parents had no idea.
Sure.
They had it where the doctor just kept pushing back the due date. And my mom's like, this kid is, because I'm the second of three, she's like, this kid's got to come at some point. You can't just keep pushing it off. But I think they thought nothing of it because there's no family history, no nothing.
Sure.
And then shortly after being born, they're like, oh, she's got achondroplasia, a type of dwarfism or little person. And they were like, she needs to go down to Children's just for evaluation and just checking on stuff. And then by the time I was a little over 6 months old, I had surgery on my neck just to help me with my future self, because sometimes with the structure of our head and neck, it doesn't always, I think it was preventing that I would be able to hold it up steadily and not have it uneven or whatever due to having a smaller body. But yeah, and then I've done plenty of ENT. I've been like a patient for that since day one. And then I get a break from it, and then I'm back being like, yep, I'm having ear problems again.
Yeah.
So I'm a well-rounded
frequent flyer miles here.
Yes. I'm like, can I just get like a discount or something? Or do I become like a platinum member?
Yeah.
I brought my own wristband. You can just scan it.
I'm like, they already know me. I'm good. Just let me walk back there. Yeah. But yeah, and then at the age of 16, there was no warning signs, no nothing. I remember that it was the first day of fourth quarter of my sophomore year, not senior, a couple years off.
Sure.
And I was having a bad headache all of a sudden. I was trying to do schoolwork, everything else, and all of a sudden a bad headache. It was like the worst ever. I was like to the point where I can't remember if I was getting emotional or I just didn't want to do schoolwork anymore. And my family was like, hey, take some pain meds. I think I just took Advil or whatever. But they were like, we'll take you in. And I'm like, no, I'm probably just overthinking this whole entire thing. I'm just a nutcase. They're going to be like, she's fine. This is just, because I've never really had migraines before.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't know, maybe this is just a migraine. I don't want to go in and have them be like, she's crazy. We need to take her somewhere else, not here.
Yeah.
So, and then I went to bed that night. My mom checked on me at like 11-ish before she went to bed. And she said everything seemed fine and I was breathing and everything was good. And then that next morning, I'm always an early riser. I'm always the best kid at getting up first.
Yeah.
We used to have chickens, and let's just say I always took all their shifts too.
Yeah.
They never were the best at getting up. It was like, so you just go do it. I'm like, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, this is super fair.
I'm like, the rest of them all sleep in, or you gotta like, whatever, something else. It drives me nuts.
Whole nother topic.
Yes. But anyways, I wasn't getting up, and mom, because that was already 10 years ago. But anyways, I had a radio system for my alarm clock. It wasn't my phone. And that was still going off. My mom was like, oh, maybe she's just listening to it as she's getting ready for the day. And I don't know how long she waited for. And then finally she was like, I'm going to go downstairs. Mm-hmm. She went down to my room, saw me still in bed. And then she tried talking to me a little before she was getting closer. And then she turned me over, and I was totally unresponsive.
Oh my gosh.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
So that,
Breathing?
I think I was, but it sounds like the hard part with all of this, telling my story, is I'm not the best at knowing everything. It's just from what I've been told.
sure.
So I'm like, I think I was breathing slightly, but
Yeah.
she could just definitely tell. And then like trying to wake me up and stuff like that. So she kind of freaked out, called Dad. Dad came down and he was like, what the heck? And then he went to call 911. And then they were trying to get me upstairs. I think they all like carried me, or I don't know. And then it took a while for them to come. We don't know why, still to this day. And then we have a shared double driveway with a neighbor. And of course, we always, whenever we give directions to anybody, we're like, we share a double driveway. We're the farther one on the right, and you can't see our house, so go up that way. Do they listen? No. Brother ended up like running over to the neighbors, and he's like, this is not here. You're at the wrong house. You got to come over here.
Yeah.
And then I never knew this shortly after the injury, but I found out years later that with me being a little person, they didn't know what to do with me. They were like, oh, does she have diabetes? Is she, like maybe got like in a coma, from like the sugar or whatever. They were like, no, she's totally fine. She was totally fine yesterday.
Yeah.
We just need to get her up and going because she's not responding.
Did they thought it maybe was related to
Some other stuff. They thought nothing else. They just didn't know what to do with me.
Yeah.
They were like, oh no.
Yeah.
I've gotten that a few times from doctors and stuff like that. They're like, oh, what do we do with you? And I'm like, good question. That's why I'm here too.
Thanks, doctor.
Yeah.
I heard that.
Good. And they want to figure out. And other times they're like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, well, if you don't know and I don't know, we're not going to
This
get.
wasn't in the book.
We're not going to get anywhere.
Right.
But anyways, they finally got me in, and I think my family said they loaded me up because they weren't like moving or doing anything. Finally brought me in. I was obviously an urgent case because I wasn't responsive. The lady tried talking to me. From what it sounded like she was kind of like talking loud. I don't know if she was full of yelling, but she's like, oh, she's definitely not waking up. So then they did a CT scan here locally in Buffalo at the emergency room, and then they were like, oh, she has bleeding on the brain. We got to get her down to Children's ASAP. So that was probably an hour-ish from like when it started to getting, it was probably closer to 2 now that I say. We waited it sounded like 45 minutes, almost an hour for ambulance to show up. So let's just say my mom let him know afterwards, like, this should not be.
You don't live that far from the hospital.
No, it's like literally like,
Yeah.
I don't even know if maybe 5 minutes tops.
Sure.
Because like we live like right off of 25.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like we're like right in between Buffalo and Monticello. So let's just say my mom let them know afterwards. And then luckily it was like the guy, I'm assuming, who's in charge of the EMTs or whatever, is like, oh yeah, we will definitely make sure that never happens again. And my mom even said they wanted me to go down to Children's right away and they didn't listen. And they look back now and they're like, that was the right choice, because maybe who knows what factors could have changed from driving another hour to get down to the cities.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think they stabilized me and stuff like that, but it was definitely still an urgent case. So
Yeah. Was this a helicopter ride down? Or?
it was not due to the weather.
Okay.
When I was born, it was helicopter.
Sure. Yeah.
I've been told.
Yeah. He's like, I don't remember that one either. So
I just get a lot of rides.
yeah.
And then shortly after being there, they knew it right away because they obviously said when I was driving down there, I think the emergency room called the hospital to say that. So then once I got there, it was probably like 8:30-ish from what I've been told. And then they automatically started doing tests, did an MRI just to make sure there was nothing else wrong. So they knew going in. And then probably close to 3, just due to all the tests, blood tests, and just making sure nothing else was a concern. Its surgery started at like 3:20, and the surgeon kept saying, he was like, we have it 24 hours. So you say the pain started around 8 p.m. We have until 8 p.m. to make sure we get this all situated, clear out, because otherwise I'm assuming it could have been more fatal.
Like, yeah. I mean, the chance of a full recovery goes way down after that.
And they kept saying that too. Like throughout my recovery, they never totally said how severe it was to my family, because I think they didn't want them to worry. And then later on, I got a shunt placement due to my cerebral fluids acting up after the whole brain bleed. And the one doctor my parents were like, oh, she was doing so well. She was getting back better. But obviously I was still draining. My dad was even bummed when the surgeon told him that. And then the other doctor later, because they have just regular ones that check on, not really the specialty, but just check on them throughout the day or whatever. And he was like, if anything, this surgery will be easy. You have nothing to worry about. It's just more of just having it so she can live life and not have her head be hurting, because I would get head pains and all of that. So, but then later they were told, it was a severe case. We never really told you.
So,
well, I think they just didn't want to like make them all anxious and all that. They just wanted to see how things went. And to be honest, they had no idea if I was going to walk, talk, or any of that again.
wow.
And I was there for 18 days for that part, doing physical therapy, occupational, and speech therapy. Speech therapy for memory. I always have to back up and say that, because they're like, you sound fine to me. And I'm like, speech is more than that. I keep joking because I still keep in contact with my therapist. I'm like, we need to work on renaming that, because every single time I explain what therapies I went through, they're like, you talk fine.
Well, you're knocking it out of the park.
I'm like, do you want to know my memory? It was so bad. I would have it where they'd be like, well, what about this? And then turns out my dentist would be happy to know that I was very frantic. I'm always making sure brushing my teeth, because I recently, that year before, I got my braces off.
Sure.
So I was always very worried. I was like, I need to brush my teeth again. They're like, Calista, you just did it for the third time. And I'm like, but Peter's going to be upset if I don't brush my teeth and keep them clean, you know?
Right.
Or keep my retainers in to keep them straight.
Right.
Because I know my parents paid good money for it.
The other medical part, the least important one now. Just like, so you were in the hospital for 18 days?
Yes.
Is that, I'm assuming that's ICU or anything in there?
Yes, it was mostly ICU, I think, the whole time. I got put like on other parts that weren't as severe. Like they moved me like a little bit more to the quieter part later on.
Sure.
I think it sounds like I was moved a few times, but obviously I don't remember.
Right.
So it just was wherever they wanted me to be.
Right. Yeah. So you go to bed, you have a headache. What's the next thing you remember?
Probably that last day of the hospital. I remember like bits and pieces. I feel like maybe 5%, maybe 10. Like I remember bits and pieces, but there was other things I didn't remember.
Yeah.
Like I was told I might have been a little crazy where I thought I could take care of myself. So I thought I could get up and go to the bathroom on my own. Nope. Turns out I got all the cords tied around me, and they're coming by and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I was just going to go to the bathroom. Then I think in my medical notes, because I've read them now, due to just wanting a better understanding of what all happened. They're
Fights back.
Yes. Well, literally, they're like, I think we need a supervisor whenever, including in the middle of the night when parents are asleep and no one's watching her, so she doesn't try to do these stunts again.
Sure.
Or two, I just didn't get that I was sick.
Right.
Because in my head, I think during that illness, I thought, oh, I have to be like nauseous. I got to have the flu or whatever. So I'd be like, I'm not sick. And they're like, yes, Calista, but like, you're still not stable to be home.
Right.
You feel fine.
I'm like, take me home.
Yeah. And I'm not correlating this. You're feeling fine.
Yep.
Like,
besides my head feeling a little off, but I was like, what's wrong with me? Like other people are probably worse off than me.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to diminutize like a TBI or anything like that. It's like when you have to stay home as a kid because you have pink eye.
Yeah.
Like I feel fine. I'm not actually sick, but I have to stay home.
Right.
So you're feeling fine. Everything seems normal, but now you're at home, and that's kind of when the real battle is starting to.
Yes. Because I didn't go back my sophomore year.
Sure.
They wanted me to just focus on all my therapies and just getting stronger, and then just not worrying about that, which I realize now is probably the best option because I had to lay down a lot. Like even going back to school that first day of junior year. That was probably the worst day of school ever in my life because I felt fine throughout the whole entire time of the day because it was block schedule. And then by the time it was end of the day, like the last, like when it was like AAA time, I literally was like, I feel shot. Like I feel tired.
Yeah.
Like exhausted. My head's pounding, everything else. So I ended up laying in the health office. And I learned after that day, I'm like, we got to start taking breaks throughout the day.
Sure.
And I sometimes would have it where teachers were like, do you really need to go? And I'm like, you don't see me at the end of the day. I may look totally fine to you right now, but it's afterwards. And then even sometimes too, it was hard to even get schoolwork done. And I was on an individual education plan, which is an IEP. When I was younger, it was probably, I think, from this time I started school until 7th grade because I got so much better and just stronger and just better at learning and all that, not needing all the help and support. And then I basically had to tell them, I was like, my learning is not the same.
Yeah.
I need something different. I literally hear teachers talking and I'm like, I don't even know what you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Scott could probably tell you that. He's like, yep, I literally had to, like, let's just say I utilized his 30 minutes of no class time. I hung out with him quite a bit.
Yeah.
Every now and then he would have to be like, Calista, I actually have a work meeting today, so we can't meet up today. I'm like, oh, dang it, I'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah.
But like that all helped too. And then finally they started doing testing my second quarter of being back, and I didn't get it back until my third, but it definitely made a difference because I got more time, one-on-one help, because sometimes that whole class experience, I was like, what? Mm-hmm. And then I had Miss Bauman, whose daughter actually had a stroke at the age of 2, and I like made sure I had her as my teacher. I was like, no. I didn't know exactly what happened to her daughter, and then I find out later we had the same exact surgeon and everything else. Oh. When I literally was trying to ask her, she's like, well, you're probably not going to know of him. I'm like, well, test me on it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Then she said it, and I was like, same one.
Seems like your memory's fine now.
Yeah, right.
So it was a brain bleed. I mean, is that
yes?
a
It was
stroke?
a blood. It was a blood vessel burst.
Okay.
It sounds like similar symptoms to a stroke, but then they also said it was like a sister to an aneurysm. What it wasn't an aneurysm, but similar. And I'm assuming symptoms are similar on both sides when it comes to aneurysm and stroke.
Yep.
And is that more of a fluky thing? Is that a head bump or an injury that maybe you didn't think much of, but turned out to be?
Still don't know to this day what caused that.
Sure.
It could have been several different things, but I look back now and I'm like, there was no red flags that day, let alone the evening, and just everything.
Other than a severe headache, like no slurred speech.
Nope. And I've looked up symptoms for that too, and I'm like, oh, I'm such a different case. I'm like, none of these match up. I'm like, how did this even happen?
Yeah.
So it's been a total learning experience. And then just being able to connect with other people that have had injuries or just having a heart for other ones. Because a couple, like not even a year later, my grandpa got cancer. So I could tell I've really formed a heart for caring for people because he recognized it and he loved me for it. And he even told the rest of the family, she's the most caring. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be, I'm just trying to be loving and all of that. I'm not trying to be the most.
Right. Yeah.
But
if you're counting, my siblings are just a little bit below me on caring.
Yeah.
It's a competitive system.
But yeah, I could definitely tell everything changed for me, just my perspective and just everything else after the whole injury happened.
So now your junior year, you're getting some education kind of back on track to where it's working for you. So you're 2 years into this now, from sophomore year when this happens.
End of sophomore. It was technically not even a full year until the last quarter of junior year. Okay. So a year in, and then things are getting better. Yes.
How's your senior year go?
It was good. And I actually had to have a few different surgeries. So that August, from like that April when it happened, the whole bleed and everything, I was still not feeling well, still not having energy. My head would ache and I just constantly had to lay down. And I'm like, this is not how I want to live my life forever. If I have to be laying down, I'm not going to be able to probably get a steady job, this or that.
Sure.
Or even who knows about going to school. Like if I can't complete high school or feel like I can't.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then, so I got my shunt removed because they thought maybe it was just, turns out I read the notes. They knew it was temporary, I guess. They didn't think it was going to be a permanent thing. Mm-hmm. So they removed it. Removal went fine, but of course he saw the cerebral fluids were up again. He's like, okay, she's staying admitted now. Because I think they were just planning maybe like an overnight stay. Because my parents prefer not to take me home right away. They're like, let her stay the night and make sure she's stable. We're not rushing to take her home with us.
I get
that. Don't want to be taking a U-turn back here.
Right.
So I ended up staying, and then it was still staying steady, the cerebral fluids, and I was still having head pain. So they put it back in because I could tell I needed it. And then that following August, I was still not feeling well, so they decided to clamp it off. So it's still in me. It's just not functioning or working because after a year, they didn't want to. Because at least with it only being 4 months the first time, they were like, there's no tissue damage. Like, you've only had it for a short amount of time. It's not settled in there per se. We're now over a year later. They're like, we're not moving it to cause more temporary, more tissue damage that could be prevented. So
sure. Yeah. So pinched off meaning
it's not operating. It's just
they can't unpinch it if you need it again.
They probably could.
Sure.
So that's why in some ways I was like, maybe it's good to keep it in there. You never know.
Yeah.
Never know what the
keep
future
the parts
holds.
in there.
Right.
Yep. Where some people are like, why don't you get them removed? I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah.
I just have issues. It's all good.
Yeah. So, you finish high school.
Yep.
So now you're
and then school went a lot better my second year. I could tell I had more energy after the clamp off and everything else. And I even had it where, as I mentioned before, I had Miss Bauman as my teacher. I took my first quarter back from my junior year with her, and I was just tired. I wasn't able to remember stuff. Like, she was good with working me on one-on-one. She did phenomenal at that. But I think her and I could just tell, let's take a break from it. Maybe let's return to it next year. And it was a totally different experience.
Sure.
I was even helping classmates. Like, if anything, I just wanted one-on-one help. And I might have had it where my case manager, who also for my IEP was co-teaching the class with her, and I would have it during her time because I had a block period just to get schoolwork done, just stay caught up on stuff and everything. And I was like, I have a question. And she's like, Calista, I want you to try to do this on your own. So I might have went sneakily to Miss Bauman being like, and I think I even was like, oh, I'm going to go lay down, or, oh, I got to go talk to a different teacher. I didn't tell her I was going to math. And then Miss Bauman, it was luckily her prep time. So she was just working on grades and all that. I'm like, Miss Bauman, my teacher was, you know her, that she was busy. Can you help me? And she was like, oh yeah, let me help you and all of that. So I might have learned the little roundabouts around school and all of that.
Yeah.
And I never got questioned when I was walking in the hallways, which was nice. Yeah. Because they just knew not to ask me. I'm like, oh, heading to the health office.
Right.
I mean, I think you kind of get a permanent pass at that point. I mean,
yes. I think they knew not to bother me. I'm like, no. And I didn't want to be in the loud hallways either because depending on how my head was feeling, I'm like, I'm not dealing with this chaos because I didn't want to have it where everyone has to be quiet around me, but also I knew it was going to be noise. You
kind of alluded to it because, like, well, your speech is fine. Did you ever get the feeling that some people are like, man, she's taking advantage of this?
110%. I even had teachers. I would be like, can I go lay down? They're like, well, do you really have to leave right now? I'm like, yeah. And I think before I let them finish their answer, I'm like, okay, bye. I'm heading out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm just kind of like, I'm hearing it. I'm like, it's got to enter somebody's mind.
And I think looking back now, too, they didn't see me through my peer recovery. From like the end of, because I was released endish of April till like September. Those were like, I feel like either way, I still was recovering for at least a year, if not 2, after the initial injury. But like, I think those main 4 months was like my main ones of just looking better, looking more stable. Because I realized too, I learned very well how to put on a cover up face where I'd be like, I'm fine. And then even teachers would be like, your head hurts? I'm like, yes. But I would manage to stay straight face, fine. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then I'd be like, you have no idea how bad this hurts. I can't even think.
Yeah. It's like, well, what's your pain? I'd say it's a normal, like a 2. Yeah. Well, normal is 0. Like, well, if it's always there. So do you have head pains now? Or?
No. And if I do, it's like usually because it was a long day. Mm-hmm. Maybe I haven't been staying up on fluids or like...
Maybe unrelated.
Sometimes I get too focused on working at work where I might sometimes forget to take my break or I just delay it and I'm like, oh, I need something right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. So,
but I'm thankful for that. And I realize now all those hospital stays, even those 2 additional August ones were meant to be because I look back now and I'm like, if those visits didn't happen, I don't even want to know where I would be at, like pain wise and all that.
Mm-hmm. Sure. You learn a lot through those experiences.
For sure. And you realize sometimes the hurdles, even though you don't want to do them, it was worth it in the end because I would have never known. And who knows what life I would have been living. I probably wouldn't have been here. I probably would have been, who knows if I would even have a stable job due to how fatigue and just my head pains. Like I would have it sometimes where, like in the main first year, I would have it where I could sit up slowly. I couldn't just rush and stand up because I could instantly feel like the rush of the fluids being like, okay, we gotta, because then it automatically went away when I was laying flat because it was just a way better feeling and just the fluids just were more at a level rather than standing up. You could definitely tell the difference.
Yeah.
It sounds awful.
I became a lot more aware of my health in some ways. I was like, I'm not good.
Yeah. So graduate high school. What bring us into that next stage?
So let's just say since the injury, I feel like I've always been this way because I'm the middle child. I have an older sister and younger brother. I just learned just to go with things. So I think I like to fly from the seat of my pants. So let's just say we didn't decide college until maybe a month before school started. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And I realized I had photography. I did a lot of photography in high school, like my junior year or senior year. When I was feeling better, I went to all the sporting events, everything else, because I was in yearbook. And that was like my position because let's just say I didn't take the time to learn all the other stuff with making the layouts and all that.
Sure.
I'll just take a picture for you.
There you go. I
might have taken like thousands, millions. I was at every school of activity, which I think helped me be involved because I realize now with being so tired and fatigued, I had friends, but like I didn't all at the same time because I was just more focused on my well-being. Like I got along well with people. I joke, people are like, did you have a group of friends in school? I'm like, no, I was probably the floater throughout all of my years. It's just dependent on who I had classes with, this or that. I just went wherever.
Well, you have the gift of gab for sure.
Yes, I get it from Mom, and Mom gets it from Grandpa, and he's the one that passed, and I'm like, yep, just carrying on the Gratz way.
You know, it's good human connection.
Yes.
So
and let's just say I get even the quiet ones to talk. So
open up a little bit.
Yep.
Sure.
They're
awesome.
Like, you're too much, Calista. I'm like, that's fine.
Yep. So and then tell us a little bit about this medical podcast. You know.
So I've been following this girl for a while. I think I stumbled upon her because I realized more and more it was cool listening to other brain injuries and realizing you're not alone. Or like, and that's the biggest thing I had to learn too throughout my recovery. I had to gain a lot of patience because I would try to ask my doctor or my surgeon or my medical team. I was like, so is this normal? And they're like, Calista, every brain injury is different. I'm like, come on, can you give me like an average though? Like, just like, let me know, like, is this usually what it's like or whatever? So they never really told me. So it was nice to hear like on the podcast though, there was at least similarities.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Or like just knowing that we were all kind of in the same boat of recovery, this and that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I realized I've come so far, and I felt fortunate enough because sometimes when I listen to some of the other stuff, even when it was concussion related for other people being interviewed, I'm like, well, I don't even have head pains anymore. Should I ask if I can be interviewed? But at the same time, I just felt like too, I was just hanging out with friends when I was listening to it. So I finally got the guts to do it because I tell myself, I'm like, Calista, you're going to regret if you don't do it. Like, get yourself out there. Like, you want to open up because I realize now too, since my recovery, I've been more quiet at not stating what's been going on or what I've been through because I realize now, even if I have told people in the past, like coming back to school, I would try to explain it, but then I would just kind of like be like, yeah, so I had bleeding on the brain and then this and voila, I'm here. But I think with how well I presented myself, I thought nothing of it.
Sure.
So I realized how well I was hiding it and how I should speak up about it because I'm not the only one probably having a injury. Like,
yeah.
And then also make awareness of concussions or just how anything can happen. Because I've met with people too that have just had tumors in recovering and all of that. And there's similarities, as I said, but differences. But just good to open up and be honest about what I've experienced.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to do any good if you bottle it up and just leave it to yourself.
Right. And would you say at this point that you've made a full recovery?
Yes, like as full as I can.
So what do you still battle due to a brain bleed? Well, not like the brain injury part, just the energy part. I think sometimes I can tell where I'm like, oh man, I'm tired. Or just sometimes just having the stamina to do stuff.
Sure.
And my memory's still slightly off. It kind of drives my family nuts. They're like, we just told you to do this task. I'm like, I know you told me to do a task, but I don't remember what the task was.
Yeah.
Remind me what the task was and we'll be fine. And then as soon as I say it, I'm like, God dang it. It's like you knew the answer on the answer key, but as soon as you figure out what the correct answer was, you're like,
does it fire it like right as they're saying it? Like, yes, sometimes, that's what it was.
Sometimes it does.
Kind of like just like a spark.
Yes, sometimes.
Yeah. So, okay.
And then recently in this last year, I went, because I realized I liked photography for capturing moments, but I don't like business. I hate asking for money. I don't like money. If I didn't have to have money to live, trust me, I don't think I would have it. But I decided to go back to school after my grandpa and all that. So I got my CNA just this last October. And now in July, I just got my TMA where now I can be a CNA, which is helping nurses and residents in care facilities.
Yep.
But then also now I can assist with passing meds under supervision of a nurse. So and I'm trying to see if I want to further because just school overwhelms me a little bit because not knowing what I'd remember. And then also, maybe it would be different too, because I can tell with it being medical related, sometimes things stick with me better because it means something to me or I can connect with it or I know of somebody.
Yeah. You've had some experience in the field.
Where sometimes like the broader, more like basic classes you got to get done the first few years, I'm like, oh, if I could just skip over and just go right to the medical stuff.
Yeah.
Because sometimes doing all that other stuff, I'm like, sometimes if it doesn't mean anything to me, I'm like, it doesn't process for me.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah. Like English lit. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Right.
Like I look back now.
Sorry, squad.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, he did classic novel. Classic novel.
Again, I didn't have him as a teacher.
You probably wish you did.
But yeah.
We'll have him start a class just for you and him.
Yeah.
Do some team bonding.
I think, and I think I told Miss Carrie this one time, is like, the only thing I didn't like about, the one thing I like about math is there is an answer.
Yep. The hard part though now though is
English,
it's like there's so many different ways of doing it.
Right.
I still remember looking back like throughout all years of math, I love how we're getting on this topic.
Yeah.
But like, it would be a totally different way of like my dad knowing how to do it. Like he could help me, but he just knew a totally different process. And sometimes the teachers got nitpicky and they're like, you need to show your work. And I'm like, well, I can't fully turn this in because I'm not showing the same way that they taught.
Try homeschooling your kids during COVID. That's exactly what
I'm so glad I graduated when I did, because I graduated in 2017. I'm like, oh, it's a good thing I was not around during that time.
Yeah.
I can only imagine this.
I was going to ask when he graduated, because I mean, I'm sure that would have been
that would have been another factor.
Yeah. But so my part, I'm not knocking on English majors or anything. What I liked about it, was there is one answer. However you get there, that's a variable. But like English is a variable of like, it's
very broad.
Could have done this.
Oh, that's what it meant to you, huh?
That's what I didn't like about it. So that's what.
And sometimes too, it seemed like, because I even remember like in squad class when it came to some of the books, it would be kind of debate, or like you would have like sessions where it was like, what do you think? Are you on this side or this side? And I'm always, and I've learned too, like, I don't know if it's my middle child or now being with the brain injury, I'm like, I'm right smack dab in the middle. And they're like, well, what about this? I'm like, well, I see both sides. Like, why pick a side? And they're like, Calista, what if I told you had to? And I'm like, well, still going to be the in-betweener.
Right.
It's like you'd be a good lawyer. It's like, I'll argue both sides.
Yes.
And then let you judge on it. So.
But I don't like conflict either, so I'm like,
right.
I think it's partially a variable of everything where I'm like, let's just not fight. Let's just all get along.
Yeah. You'd be you'd be a great politician, but like you'd also be a really terrible politician. Like, let's just get along.
That's why I don't talk politics.
Yeah, right.
Don't ask me anything.
Oh, okay.
People ask me and I'm like, nope, not saying. I don't even like talking about it, even if it is my side or not, because people just get too hard-headed for me. And I'm like, nope, I'm not here to talk about conflict. Let's talk about happiness and everything else and how you're doing for your day.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
And then you drop them on with brain injuries. And then they're like, oh, you know what? Never mind. This is actually uncomfortable. So,
well, we're up against the clock a little bit, but we do appreciate...
we can do it for all day long.
We can get you back.
You can always bring me back.
Yeah. You've got a great, inspiring story for a lot of people. And you've been through some really hard times. I guess, what is your message to people who maybe it's a brain injury, or maybe it's just a rough patch in life, right? Like what's your advice to 250,000 viewers?
Wow. And with me,
do the math.
I'll probably be sharing it, so it might be even more than that.
Yeah.
So
perfect.
There's really no number.
Right.
I would say the biggest thing that I take away from my whole injury is never giving up. Like, I pushed through it because I think I had the slightest, but even though sometimes I was like, is this ever going to be done? Am I ever going to get rid of the pain? Is this how I'm always going to live my life? I think I just kept going because I just had that hope where I was like, it's going to get better. If I keep speaking up for myself, if I just listen to my body, it's going to get better.
Yeah.
And just be more aware, too, of other people, realizing how they are. And I think that's why I connect too well with older people, because I just love chit-chatting with them. And sometimes it gets me in trouble because they're like, you got to work on the next one. I'm like, but they're in the middle of talking to me. I can't just leave them.
Yeah. It's like, well, how do we end that conversation?
And they just love me. I've had it where this sweet, she's so sweet, 97-year-old lady, I guess the nurses were trying to get her to take meds and everything one morning. And they're like, she doesn't know my name. She calls me the little one. She's like, I want the little one. And they're like, well, can't you take your meds? So they finally were like, Callie, because I go by Callie sometimes, because sometimes trying to explain Calista.
Right. Yeah.
I've had Krista,
sure,
Celeste.
Yeah.
I literally had a girl call me Celeste for like over a year at Target because I just don't care to correct people. I'm like, yep, what's up? What do you need?
I've been called worse. I think that's what you're supposed to say.
Or I literally had the name tag Jessica on me for one shift, and the lady thought that was my real name. She thought Calista was my made up name, and I'm like, you know what, people, I just don't know anymore.
So she calls you Jessica from now on?
Yeah, she called me for when I was working at Target.
Yeah.
But she was like, what's Calista? And I was like, my name. Thank you for asking.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, I think I just learned to just like be there for others and everything else, because no one truly knows what other people go through. I realize sometimes people are really good at putting on a show or an upfront, but you don't realize. Yep. I've learned that I became a really good actress. I feel like I've always been, but like it's just gotten better with time. I'm like, oh, I can put on a show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if we weren't up against a time clock and the next guest coming in, but I think we should get you back, to continue that story. I mean, I think it's great, and anything that we can do to help, we appreciate it, and
for sure.
We'll do that. So it's been a pleasure getting to know you a little bit more. But for the Buffalo
Sorry
community,
for not telling you everything.
No, well, hey, stay tuned for part 2.
Yeah.
I'm Tyler Reese.
I'm Mark Benzer.
Calista Susa.
Thanks for listening to the Buffalo Community Podcast, produced by Edlin Media. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube, as well as anywhere you listen to podcasts.